Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the SoCal Prep Report. Rich Estrella along with Bob Gibson tonight. Dan DeForest out on assignment this evening, so just be myself and Bob. And, you know, Bob, we reached out to a lot of people tonight. Everybody's got games tonight, man, because this year in 2021, this time of year, is everybody's favorite time of year as far as high school sports goes, only because they're all thrown together right now.
Wait, say that again. Everybody's got games.
Yeah.
That sound good.
This is everybody's favorite time of year, Bob, because
I love hearing that.
I mean, football just ended, a week ago?
Yep.
And I mean, never in the history of our lives have we seen like 30 sports all in one. So you got the fall sports, the winter sports, and the spring sports all together. And, man, we just never seen that before. And we're so happy that everybody's out, everybody's playing. Bob, if you drive by any of the high schools right now, the fields are all being used up every inch, man.
I'll tell you, I know we can't do this full time, but I think this has been fun. I mean, maybe fun's a tough word to use because of what we've all been through this past year, but I think it really has been fun. Watching all the sports happen at the same time, I get it. It's been a logistical nightmare, and some athletes have had to choose one sport over another. But, man, just to be able to talk about all these different sports going on at the same time, it's an unprecedented time. It's an unprecedented season. I think that part of it, at least, has been kind of fun to cover.
Well, the best part of it, too, is the officiating didn't suffer as much as we thought it would.
Right.
We thought it would come into play because, man, you got all these sports, and these officials do cross over. Football
Sure.
officials do basketball,
Yep.
do baseball. They're officials, man. They just don't do one sport. Some guys do. But for the most part, Bob, everybody seemed to have stepped up. They know there was going to be, some differences, and some of the umpiring and officiating, if you want to call it that, would have to get up to snuff, like the athletes, but it has.
Well, look, once we knew we were going to get a season, right, everybody knew they had to step up. ADs, coaches, players, administrators, and referees. Everybody had to step up to make this happen because, look, everybody deserves to get this season in, and we got to the point where we could do it. So kudos to everybody, including the referees. And you're right, that was so much of the talk.
Oh, man.
I remember being on that baseball conference call with so many of the coaches back when baseball got their stuff going, and it was like, man, are we going to have enough umpires? Is this going to work? It's all worked. It all has. It's all come together, and that's, like I said, it's just a testament to everybody who said, you know what, we're just going to make sure it happens.
Well, a lot of old timers came out of retirement, and then they reached out to the lower divisions in the middle school arena and some of the little leagues and stuff like that, Pop Warner, because the guys already know the rules. You need somebody out there just to keep control of the game. That's all basically officials do. If you didn't have officials, people would be cheating all the time. There'd be so many fights and stuff like that because it's just the competitive nature of sports.
We've talked about it so much, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it's not that long ago we didn't even know we were going to get any sports, much less a postseason. Now we're getting postseason stuff that we're able to talk about. It's awesome. It's just I keep bringing up the word fun, but it is. It's fun, and as it should be. Sports should be fun. That's the whole point of it, and we're there. I think we're almost all the way back, which is good news for everybody.
Well, the only guys that kind of got ripped off, were the winter sports, and football in particular. Didn't have a playoff. Most people got in 5 games. That was about the average. Some people got in 6, maybe 7. They were lucky enough, but it was really just a crapshoot. Number one, trying to get your teams back on the field together and work out enough to get a team on the field. And number 2, where are you going to find games, man?
No, it's right. Football's its own animal, right? I mean, it's not easy just to say, "Hey, grab a game," right? Basketball is easy to do that with baseball.
Right.
Hey, you want to play tomorrow? Sure, we'll go play tomorrow, right? You can pick up a basketball or your bats and gloves and go play somewhere. Football's not that easy, as we know. So, right, just logistically not going to happen for football. And so you're right. If for everybody to get their 5 or 6 games, I think that's a success story in itself right there.
And another thing that's come along with this COVID thing, Bob, is I've noticed in football this year there's a lot of job openings right now everywhere. And, they're going to get filled. But I think a lot of people I don't want to say they gave up. Maybe there was time to retire. Maybe they were planning on moving on. Maybe they decided to move out of state for whatever, though. There seems to be a plethora of openings more so than the typical, Bob.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. And we give a little shout out to Chris Four, who's the head of the State Coaches Association. He runs a website, 8laces.org. He keeps track of all the job openings. So he's kind of doing some of that legwork, right? He's got a spreadsheet on there. That's 44 openings right now. 44.
Is that all?
Yeah, right? 44 jobs that are open, including, I think, the most intriguing one who just came open. Trinity League jobs don't come open very often, but one did this past week as Pat Harlow stepped down at J. Sarah. And so there's a Trinity League job with the J. Sarah Lions head coaching job is open. And I put a tweet out there. I said, hey, what's the over-under on the number of emails that hit AD Chris Ledyard's inbox on that first day? I said probably about 30 or 40 right off the bat, and it's going to be a lot more than that. A lot of people are going to be interested in getting a job in the Trinity League if they can get it. So,
Bob, those jobs,
J. Sarah's going to have some good names to choose from, I think.
Bob, those football jobs in the Trinity League are worth 6.5 figures at least.
Yeah, it's good
right now.
It's good money. It's good exposure. You're always going to be playing on TV. You're always going to be playing top talent. You've got game against Mater Dei. You've got games against Bosco, Servite, right? So you're playing all the top end talent, and you've got a chance to attract top end talent to your school.
Bob, why do you got to change it up? You don't have to be politically correct. Tell it like it is. They got time to recruit.
Don't forget, we have coaches in that league who said, you don't recruit, you attract.
No,
okay,
you recruit, Bob. Attracting is recruiting. Come on.
So anybody who wants to go to a Trinity League school certainly can now. That's the whole point. And J. Sarah, great facilities down there, a great high school, a lot going right for it. They kind of went down a little bit, lost some talent, a lot of transfers out the past couple of years. So Pat Harlow decides, you know what? That's the end of the time for me at J. Sarah. A really good head coach, a good guy. So congratulations to him. He put up a winning record in his time at J. Sarah. Not easy to do when you're in the Trinity against some of those great teams, but he had a good run there. Time to get some new blood in there. We'll see. J. Sarah, I know what they'll do. They'll open it up nationally. The athletic director, Chris Ledyard, he's going to open this thing up wide and far and find the right person to come in, because don't forget, J. Sarah thought they were right on the cusp of becoming that third team. We've talked about Servite joining in as the third team now. J. Sarah wasn't not long ago thought they were the third team in the Trinity that were going to kind of crack that Mater Dei Bosco thing. So they got a chance to get back in now.
I like that, Bob. Attracting instead of recruiting. I said attruding. That's a little bit of each. But that's like running a commercial on TV and having somebody accuse you of buying your customers. I mean, come on, man. That's why you run commercials.
They said it. Hey, we
don't
need
to bring people to your school, Bob. They attract you. Come on.
Well, they're private schools, right? So anybody can go from anywhere, and they do. They come from all over the Southern California to go to some of these schools. I mean, you got kids from Rancho Cucamonga going to Mater Dei. You got kids from way deep in the San Bernardino County who drive in every day to go to J. Sarah and some of these other schools. So it doesn't matter where you live in Southern California. If you're good enough and you're that type of player, you're going to find a home at a Trinity League school somewhere.
Bob, that's been going on for a long time.
I know.
St. Paul back in their heyday, Mary Nansowitz was a longshoreman in San Pedro at the docks, and he had a lot of guys from the San Pedro area coming to play at St. Paul and Santa Fe Springs.
Yeah, it's a different animal when you're talking about private schools.
Absolutely.
You really got a chance to do something different. So I think that's the number one job opening, certainly because it's a Trinity League job. But a lot of rumors floating around. The St. Francis job is another one that's a really good one. Some big names that have been rumored interviewing for that one, including the head coach at Bishop Amat, Steve Haggerty. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine Steve Haggerty leaving Bishop Amat? The rumors are out there. He might have his hat in the ring for some of the other job openings that are out there. But again, it's rumor season. We'll see what happens, because 44 jobs need to get filled. As you said, they will, but that's a lot of job openings right now.
Hey, Tom Brady left the Patriots after 20 years, Bob. Right. So, I mean, why couldn't Haggerty leave Bishop Amat after 75 years?
It's a good job. I think that's why he's been there so long. Yep. He's a mainstay. He's such a great guy. Yep. You won't find anybody who's got anything bad to say about Steve Haggerty.
He has control.
Really a nice guy and a good football coach. And I think that's the point. Why would you leave Bishop Amat? But you never know. Maybe a new challenge or something. Who knows, right? Until you're able to kind of talk and get an official word on what's going on, you don't know. It's just a rumor right now. So you never know. But if that job were to open, the Bishop Amat job, now you're talking about another prime job opening. There'd be a long line to apply for that Bishop Amat job as well.
Bob, one of the bad things about this time of year, we enjoy, you in particular enjoy baseball.
Yeah.
And we all enjoy girls softball. But, one of the things with this year, with everything being truncated and lumped in together, they are going to have playoffs. But we really have a lot of time to cover those games, because they were just all over the place. They were at different times. Some of the stuff was being made up in the dirt that week where they're going to play, because people needed fields, and everything's crossing over. But a big time event happened yesterday, actually, in the Moore League, where Lakewood has just had a stranglehold on that, and Long Beach Poly finally broke through and defeated Lakewood 9-3 for the first time, Bob, in 15 years. Over 30 games.
Wait a minute.
That's right.
How is Poly the underdog in anything? It's Long Beach Poly. This is a school of 7 million kids, right? Don't 7 million kids go to that school?
Well, they have a little over 7 million.
Darn
Bob.
near,
So
I swear.
they've gone up, but that's the same thing. You know,
But you're right.
we talk about Harvey Catania at Rolling Hills Prep.
Right.
You know, this guy's got kindergarten. He's got K through 12.
It's a K-12 school,
He's got
right?
105 people on that school, and yet the girls and boys team go to state every year.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it doesn't matter how big you are. It just matters if your coach can,
Right.
you know, that your team can transcend what the coach is putting out. If they can buy in, so to speak, and take his personality. And obviously, Rolling Hills Prep's one of those schools, Bob. You know, they'll probably beat Long Beach Poly.
Well, Harvey Catania, I don't care where he'd go. He'd go coach basketball anywhere. He'd go to the moon and coach basketball, and
Yeah.
he'd find himself a good team. I mean, that's just the kind of coach that he is, and we know that. But, boy, you're right. But those are special times when a Lakewood has a stranglehold, as you said, on something, and a team like Poly comes up and turns the tables on them finally. That's fun to see that kind of stuff happen.
Unbelievable, Bob. Never thought I'd see the day
Right.
where Long Beach Poly gets up there and defeats Lakewood, because it hadn't been done in so long, Bob. Some of these kids already have kids. The last time they beat,
Right.
you know, the last time they beat Lakewood.
Hey, in
So
this
it's
season,
how long it's
anything's
been.
possible. That's one thing we've learned, right? In the
Well,
COVID season, anything's possible.
Bob, let's go to soccer real quick, and the girls' soccer too, and talk about what happened this yesterday with Milliken and Jay Sarah. I mean,
right? You talk about turning the tables. No, you're absolutely right. Again,
Jay Sarah had beaten Milliken the last 2 years in the first round of the playoffs. First round of the playoffs this year, Milliken defeats Jay Sarah. So there's payback there. A lot, you know, and it's good to see that, Bob.
it is good to see. No,
After
you're
3 years.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's good to see when finally something turns, right? And you figure if you played a team and a program that many times, you know, and look at that JCR program has been so good for so long. I mean, the amount of players that have come through there that are like national type players is just ridiculous. So for Milliken to finally change that over and get that big win, you know, that says something. It's like, you know, Servite on the boys soccer side, man, always winning, and then, you know, somebody sneaks up on them and gets one. You just like to see it, and nothing against the powers that are like Jay Sarah's a great power, nothing against them at all, but it's just great when you can see a team finally go, okay, we learned
figured it
something.
out, Bob.
Right, we figured it out. We put the puzzle piece together, and we got that last piece put down, and we got the win.
Yeah, it's just amazing. So it's good. There's a couple streaks broken, a couple things going on good this week in girls sports. But how about the story out of Kentucky, Bob, this week? Madison McIntosh. You know, no-hitters are pretty common in softball.
That's true.
They're fairly common. You get a couple of pitchers every year that'll throw a couple no-hitters. But this young lady, she pitched a shutout, obviously, Bob. She pitched no-hitter, obviously, Bob. But she pitched a perfect game.
Right.
She faced 21 batters, and get this.
The perfect game.
On the average, on the whole game, she only threw 3.5 pitches to knock out her opponent.
Right. Struck every batter out.
Just knock. Yeah, it was exactly. It was 21 batters, 21 strikeouts, 3.5 pitches.
You might as well.
I mean, Bob, nobody's seen anything like that since I pitched in high school.
It's like the old Bugs Bunny cartoon. You know, 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. 1, 2, 3 strikes, go take a seat. Right? I mean, that's the whole point of it. It's like, you know, look, when you're dialed in, I don't care what level of baseball or softball you're playing. When you're dialed in on the pitching rubber or in the circle as it is in softball, that's the greatest thing ever, right? You have those days where nobody can touch you, and she obviously had one of those kind of days. Again, another fun story, you know, to talk about. Can you imagine striking every batter out? Even the other team's got to be like, okay, you know, you had us today, right? Got to tip your cap to a performance like that.
Well, Bob, I'll tell you, that's tough. I mean, that's really tough. I mean, we grew up here in Southern California. We got to see some of the greats. And I'm going to talk about Lisa Fernandez real quick right now. Lisa Fernandez was everything. No matter what this young lady touched back in the day, this is like in the 80s, it turned to gold. I mean, how many Olympic gold medals does she have in softball, Bob? A ton. Right. A ton. All right, she went to 4 Olympics, got 4
Every
golds.
time she played, I think she won a gold medal.
Not only that, but the snapshot I'll take from Lisa Fernandez, who went to St. Joseph's, which is right across the street from Bosco and Bellflower. Mm-hmm. When she was in high school, she was also a basketball player. And I seen her get a rebound, a defensive rebound under the basket with no time left, turned, took one glance at the basket, and threw it 96 feet, swish, nothing but net. The only more impressive thing would have been had she hit it off the backboard and snapped the net. But, I mean, I'll take that 96 throw, Bob. And she threw it like a baseball. And this is one of the premier softball players of all time. Of all time. I'll go out on a limb and say that because her career, was 3 decades long,
Right.
Bob. Who has that?
Nobody. Look, a great athlete is a great athlete. You know, if you're that level of an athlete like she is, and we've seen so many other. I mean, we know Willie McGinnis, what a great basketball player he was at Long Beach Poly. You know, you talk about so many great Sam Darnold. I mean, I covered Sam Darnold. I didn't really cover him as a football player at San Clemente. I covered him as a basketball player, and he was a really good basketball player at San Clemente, man. He could score, he could rebound, such a big body, as we know. So, I mean, these guys are just special athletes. They'll play anything, and they're good at it, right? But they're so competitive. You know, they'll get out and play ping pong or shoot pool, and they're going to be good at it. Just the best athletes are always good at everything.
Well, also, Bob, I'll tell you one thing, and I've talked to a lot of recruiters, and I've been in coaches' offices when recruiters have been there. And the first thing they'll always ask you about high school, about athletes are looking at is, what other sport do they play? What other sport do they play? If they find out all you're doing is playing baseball, all you're doing is playing basketball, or all you're doing is playing football, they might shy away from you. You learn a lot of other things when you play other sports, but you also use different muscles.
There's
different, shall we say, tension, pressure levels that are involved, and also different leadership qualities that you need. It's different when you're leading a team of 60 or say 11 at a time on a football field versus leading 5 guys on a basketball court. It's no different, but it's more difficult to obviously get 11 guys that do everything perfectly at one time than it is to get 5 guys or 5 ladies.
Well, look, we've all covered kids who played one sport in high school,
right,
and eventually burned out, right? Whether it was at the end of high school, a lot of times it's in college. They get to college and they say, man, it feels like a job now. I mean, I'm just so tired of just playing baseball or just playing football. Man, I wish I would have played something else, man. I want something else to do, right? I'm tired of doing that one thing. And I tell you, you mentioned the college coaches always bring it up. I think Nick Saban, there was a video going around social media. Nick Saban was talking about, I want kids who play more than one sport. I want to find that football player who also plays basketball or wrestles or plays baseball, whatever, runs track, just do something different, right? These are the kind of athletes a guy like Nick Saban wants at his #1 program in Alabama.
Yep, no doubt about it. And they all ask it. I remember being in Coach Mazzotta's office many times, Frank Mazzotta, senior at Cerritos College, and, Tom Osborne's in there, Saban's in there, and they're just walking out like it's no big deal. Just came in to have a sandwich with Coach and see what's happening, and just talking about his good recruits. But it's just fantastic. I'm just glad we're able at this point in time, Bob, to see some playoff games coming up with girls basketball, which we're going to talk about here in a second, and softball and baseball's coming up.
Yeah,
I mean, there's just so many good things happening on the fields, and they're busy. So, but I'll be honest with you, Bob. I'm really looking forward to this upcoming August, September, when everything is back to normal.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of we've all been pointing towards, right? Like 2021, 22, right? We're going to have a proper football season and water polo and all the sports that are in the fall, and then we're going to go to winter and do basketball and golf, soccer, all that stuff. And we'll get to spring and baseball and softball, boys volleyball, everything back where it's supposed to be. I mentioned it was fun to do this season, but you couldn't do it all the time, right? This would be too hard to do.
Yep.
As much as enjoyable as it was, but it was good to see it one time happen despite the circumstances. But you're right. Let's get back to normal. Let's get that regular football season going. And I think the point is, a lot of these coaches, they kind of use this season as sort of a springboard to get to that next fall season and get that full. It was almost like it was an extended spring training, spring workouts for a lot of these coaches, I think, in a way.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Football's only 100 days away, Bob.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy,
100 days
right?
away, football season's starting.
Here we are, almost we're in the middle of May, right? So, I mean, June, July, and then, 1st of August, we're kicking off.
That's
right.
right.
It's crazy. You're right. It's just around the corner.
And we're going to have football, basketball, going to have some wrestling this year, Bob. We're going to move it this year. It's going to have a good time.
Yep.
Right here in LA 36, man. Hey, before we get into the basketball, Bob, let's talk about Colt Brennan real quick.
Yeah.
Colt Brennan, former modern-day quarterback, probably a high school
probably none of our business ultimately anyway. All we know is that, a nice young man and a really good football player is not with us anymore. So, condolences out to the Brennan family, family and friends. And, you hate to cover these kind of stories.
And what a great football name, Bob. Colt Brennan.
Colt Brennan, right?
Colt Brennan. Colt 45 Brennan.
Like Colt McCoy, right? Like
yeah.
Colt McCoy.
And it was Colt McCoy. Remember this Colt McCoy
right.
and Colt Brennan came out about the same time. And
I think you're right.
Yeah, they did. Colt was a famous name, man. I'd go with like I said, with the Colt 45.
Colt Brennan. He was a good player.
Yeah, so it's
really special.
It's just terrible when somebody goes before their time. And at 37, yeah, that's way before your time.
Yeah,
man.
no, you're just scratching the surface, man. Not even 40 years old yet. And like I said, in the prime of his life. So, it's a tough one.
Was he coaching, Bob, back here again?
I don't know. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if he was coaching. I hadn't heard that he was coaching. He could have been, but I hadn't heard that was happening. So a lot of these guys, right after their pro careers done, after, I guess the Raiders was his last stop. I don't think he, played a game there. He was released, and then you're right. A lot of these guys come back home and get into coaching. Right? I mean, that's kind of the way, especially if you've got a resume like Colt Brennan. You think a lot of teams would be lined up to bring a guy like that in to coach quarterbacks.
Hey, Bob, real quick, let's talk about the and again, it's terrible what happened to Brennan, and again, our condolences to his family and those who loved him and his friends, and it's just something that's tough to talk about, but he was such a mainstay and such a great athlete here in Southern California. He deserves a mention on his way out.
For sure.
He definitely, had the crowds fired up every week, every time you saw him play. And then going to Hawaii, like you said, Bob, I mean, this dude was throwing for 1,000 yards every week like everybody else in that offense.
It's
every
crazy.
play you threw the ball.
It's crazy.
It was fantastic offense. I love it, man.
Those whack offenses. They're
Paul Westhead, Loyola Marymount type of offense,
yeah,
right? You just throw the ball deep every
exactly
time.
what it was.
Hey, but looking at the playoffs coming up, Bob, I was looking at the top 10s this week in different places, and there's one common denominator in the boys and the girls teams. You got
There's a couple
Corona
of them,
Centennial, you got Mater Dei,
right.
and you got Sierra Canyon.
Sierra Canyon, right.
The boys and the girls all have their teams in the top 10.
Right.
No matter what top 10 you look at, they're in the top 10 statewide.
And it seems to be like that every year now. I mean,
well, remember, we were just talking about Katani's team.
Right.
Rolling Hills Prep did the same thing for several years.
I'll tell you another school, and then, it would have been nice to talk to Dan tonight. I know he's on assignment, but Crean Lutheran is a team. I'll tell you, scratching the surface. Their girls and the boys teams are very, very good. Both lower division teams right now, because Crean's still a newer school, right? Still trying to get it figured out. It's not going to be too long before Crean's moved up into that Division I neighborhood, right? Because these are two basketball programs that are just starting to get going on the scene here in Southern California. And that boys team, #1 in the division. The girls team is a top 10 in their division as well. But Crean Lutheran, keep an eye out, because I really think you're going to see some special things. They're going to kind of get into that same neighborhood of the Mater Deis and the Sierra Canyons that we've been talking about for so long, where the boys and the girls just have excellent programs across the board.
Yeah, and it's good to see that, Bob. And like at Rolling Hills Prep, I think they work out together for a little bit, at least before the season starts.
Right.
So, I mean, it's such a small school. Why not? I mean, why not?
Well, a lot of people were so surprised. Like, why would Harvey leave, at Fairfax? And then where's he going to? And then he ends up at this little school that's a K-12 school in Rolling Hills Prep. But, man, it's Harvey Katani. Like we said, man, this guy's the guru, right? He's going to go anywhere and coach and put a team together. That guy probably forgot more about coaching basketball than most of us ever knew in the first place. So it's just fun to see those programs, grow like they have as well. You talk about some of these little schools that sort of pop up on the scene, for a couple of years here and there. But I think as long as Katani's there at Rolling Hills Prep, that's going to be another program that's going to keep flying. Nothing
against Rolling Hills Prep. We don't have nothing against any schools at all. But I'm going to tell you, the first time I rolled up on that school, I passed it a couple times because it was a couple of bungalows, literally, Bob. I'm not kidding, man. It's in one of the most beautiful areas in Southern California, in the Rolling Hills, Palos Verdes Estates area. But when they first start out, they start out small and they see if they have legs, and then as they get bigger, they grow, they build stuff. Like Crean Lutheran has.
Crean Lutheran is another one, right? Their gym is actually a temporary gym. It's a nice.
It's a cool
gymnasium.
gym, though,
it really
Bob.
Is.
You wouldn't know you were.
It looks like the Metrodome, right?
Yeah,
Minnesota, the old Metrodome.
What happened was when the Metrodome collapsed, they took one wing of it that didn't get damaged. They cut it up. They took it back home and they sewed it up, threw some air in it. It's great.
Sent it over to Irvine. They got pumped up
man.
for Crean Lutheran. good, and congratulations to Coach Henley.
Bobby couldn't hang in there for 500.
A CAF title a couple years back with that. Remember Adam Plutko?
Yep.
He's now in the Major League. Indians
Wow.
drafted him. He was with the Indians, with the Orioles now. But what a great pitcher he was, man. That was a great run by that Glendora team to win that CIF title a couple years back. And another coach I want to mention real quick who is going to be changing jobs, Charles Chapman over at Tustin High School.
Charlie Chapman?
Charles Chapman,
Charles
who
Chaplin.
don't forget I covered Charles as a baseball player, but man, what a football player he was. He was the first running back to run like crazy in that Myron Miller offense when he was at Costa Mesa High School. Remember when Myron took that Costa Mesa team to a CIF championship game?
Was he running the wing tee
Back
then?
he was running. Of course, he was
Does
running
he ever
it.
run anything else but that offense?
Man, that double wing, man, he loved that, right? And they had Dwayne Crenshaw and Charles Chapman were the two running backs. Ben Tran was the year before that. He ran the crazy, man. Those are fun teams to cover. Charles was a great football player, a great baseball player too. Played in college at Kent State. But he came home and took the job at Tustin. Been there a long time, but he's going to go take another job in the state of Iowa now. So Congratulations to Charles. Congratulations to Coach Henley. A couple of class acts here in Southern California. They're going to be hanging it up here. Coach Henley for good, and Charles is going to move on. So just wanted to shout that out.
What was Coach Henley's first name there, Bob?
Dan. Not Don Henley.
Right, because Larry said one of us would call him Don Henley before the night was over.
No, I said, the rest of the Eagles are still going to go on? No, it's Coach Dan Henley.
I won the bet because I told...
I'm sure he never hears that at all, right?
I told Larry I wasn't going to do this segment. That's Bob's. So I was going to screw up the name. But, man, that's crazy. But listen, we are going to, in the next week, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be heavy in on the playoffs now because that's where we're at in time right now. You got softball playoffs, you got soccer playoffs, you're going to have basketball playoffs. All that stuff's being ongoing right now. They're getting ready to do the pairings. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, Bob, because the season was so truncated, so short. We'll see what the effect is when we finally get to the playoffs, because normally basketball's over. Everything's over by now.
Well, I think you're going to get some funky matchups, right? You're going to get some things that go on. I wouldn't be surprised if you get some really big upsets across the board. I mean, it's just that kind of a season, right? We're talking about, teams turning the tables on, Jay Sarah losing and Lakewood getting beat by Pauley and all that. I mean, those are just fun things. I think you got a chance to really see that in these basketball playoffs as well.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
We're going to see what happens. I want to see what happens with the big three. Mater Dei, Corona Centennial, and Sierra Canyon, Bob. I didn't know Sierra Canyon girls team was that good this year. I had no idea, Bob. Well, I know you know these things, but I didn't.
Look, it's Sierra Canyon, right? It's like Mater Dei. They're never going to have a down season now. There's no such thing as a down season, right?
Nope.
There may be seasons where you don't quite win as many games. Maybe you don't win CIF this year, right? It's almost a given sometimes for these programs. But it's never lasts for long. Those are the programs that are always right at the top. And that Mater Dei girls team is crazy good again this year.
They certainly are. Well, next week we'll have, like I said, we'll have coaches in here or somebody in here talking to us, letting us know what's going on out there, because the playoffs are wacky this year.
Good stuff.
They're wacky. And, I wouldn't be surprised if those big three are out, Bob, on both ends, boys and girls. They get upset.
Don't expect anything to happen. What you think is going to happen, I don't think is necessarily going to happen at all, right?
Upset City, I predict.
Get your tie tightened up real tight and put your seatbelt on. It's going to be a wild ride.
You shouldn't say that, because those teams don't need any more motivation, Bob.
You know what?
They're going to impose their will on everybody like always.
That's what they always try to do. This might be the year that they get the tables turned on them, though.
There's nothing we can say that's going to motivate anybody anymore.
Right,
Not
that's
with those
true.
three.
It's beyond that.
All right, we got to sign off, Bob. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. Next week we'll have Dan DeForest back with us. Maybe Randy. Randy's still out there calling basketball games, so he'll probably be doing playoffs, Bob.
That's true. That's true. So we'll see if we see Randy.
We'll see if we see Randy. If not, we'll get him when he gets back. All right. On behalf of Bob Gibson, I'm Rich Estrella saying so long from your friends here at the SoCal Prep Report. Join us next week for an update on the CIF playoffs. Until then, have a good week.